Hey, what's up, everyone? Ralph here. So, as someone who's had $30,000 of credit card debt not once but twice in their life, I know all too well what it's like to not to make a conscious decision not to pay back your debt, right? And in that $30,000 debt, the majority, I'll say the majority of it was credit card debt. Some of it was also a personal loan. And that $30,000 doesn't even include the $12,000 of student loan debt that I had. But I made sure to pay that one off every month because that was like $100 every month. But when it came to making a choice to pay off my debt, I remember not choosing to pay off my debt. And the reason why I did that was because I said, this is how I looked at it. I was like I said, yo, these banks are not getting their money until I make my money, right? But I had a plan because I was working on an online business. And once that online business started making some money, then, I made sure to call off all these, creditors and pay them back. However, in this video, I'm going to share with you a couple of videos where some people are making the choice just not to pay off their debt, right? And it's interesting to hear their reasoning why, right? Because it's so interesting, to figure out why some people are making the conscious decision not to do it. I know, I just told you my reason for doing it, but hearing other people's reasoning is something to listen to and figure out why, psychologically, why people make that the choices that they make when it comes to their finances. So I'm gonna let these videos play and then I'll share my thoughts.
I don't want to pay off my debt. Now, hear me out. I know that sounds crazy, but that's not what I'm most interested in because you are not promised tomorrow. We have no idea what this life's going to hold for us. What I want to do is I want to do something. I'm a mom. I want them to have the most amazing childhood. I want to take my kids to Disney. That's what I want to do. I would rather take them to Disney than pay off my debt.
So look, obviously, I'm probably gonna sound like a bad guy, but obviously this is irresponsible, right? You're being irresponsible when it comes to your money. And I know a lot of people like to go with the notion oh, no, tomorrow's never promised. You don't know what's gonna happen, so you might as well just live for today, right? And of course, I agree. You never know tomorrow's never promised, so you want to make sure you enjoy the moment. However, I always say that there is a potential that you could live a very long time, right? Into your 80s, right? That is a possibility. So you have to also plan for that. And having that mindset is just an excuse to be irresponsible. And of course, I understand her being a mother. She has her children. She wants to share with them experience, bring them to Disney because that's something she wants to bring to her child. But what you're also teaching your children is to also be irresponsible when it comes to your money. Because what if you do live into your 80s? What are you going to do then? Right? You're going to look back and say, damn, I wish I'd have been more better with my finances. And you want to make sure that you instill responsibility when it comes to your children and say, all right, you take money out, you borrow money, you have to make sure you pay that back because there are consequences to that. Right? And it's not an excuse to want to be irresponsible with your spending. Because I agree, we all want to give that experience to our children and share with them. I've been to Disney World. It's a great experience for a child. However, you also want to make a priority to be responsible with your finances. I'm not sure if she's married or not, but she doesn't say that. But it's these are not good excuses to be irresponsible with your money and say I'm just not going to pay that back. All right, and I get it too because I understand too. For a lot of people, they have this mindset. Like for me, when I chose not to pay my debt, I said, all right, I want to work on my business and make some money, increase the amount of money I make so I can do the things that I want to do. Right, and share it with share the money, share my experience with the people I want. However, I have to make sure I get my finances in order first. But for a lot of people, they have this mindset that I'm never gonna be rich. I'm never going to be able to increase my income to a point where I can live the life that I want to live. So I'm just going to use debt in order to have the experiences that I want and share the experience with the people that I love most. And of course, it's obviously a mindset thing and it's sad for people to think like that. But a lot of people have this mindset. They just don't think that they can increase their income to that point. So they just say, just use debt to enjoy my life the way I want it to. And it's unfortunate, but that's I think a lot of people. I know inflation can cause a lot of people for their finances and obviously the economy and stuff like that. But a lot of reasons, the reason why people are, when it comes to their finance where they are, is because of the choices they make when it comes to their finance. But let's let her finish.
I know that sounds crazy. It does. But I want to live in the here and the now.
And it's crazy too, right? When I go in the comment section, a lot of people are like, yes, this is the sort of kind of crazy that I like, that I agree with. This is not financial advice you should be following. No, if anyone is struggling when it comes to debt, I would not recommend anyone follow this advice. This is not, I would tell people, make it a priority. Prioritize that debt. Make sure that you pay that debt off. Find a way to do what you got to do to make sure you make the money so you can pay off that debt, because it's not going to make your life any easier. All that's going to do is just accumulate. Debt is going to accumulate, and you're just going to be stressed out even more. And then you're gonna be so stressed out, and then you're gonna blame society for why things are expensive, right? When in reality, it's the choices you decided to make because you want to live in the here and the now, and not say, you know what, let me think about my future, my children's future, and say, pay off this debt so therefore I don't have to deal with this stress. But it's interesting that when it comes to finances and money, to see people's mindset of how they deal with it, right? Some people just choose, you know what, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm just going to act like it doesn't exist. I'm just going to enjoy the here and now, because promise is never tomorrow. I mean, promises, tomorrow is never promised. So, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't, tell anyone to follow this advice. All right, so let's go to the next video.
Anyone else have a debt that they just refuse to pay? Like, you are not paying unless there are some serious legal consequences. Let me tell you, I have one. It's only because of this insurance company, but it was a small bill. It was like $140. They added it to my credit. I could have been paid it. Yes, I could have paid it. It's $140. But it's the principle behind the situation why I chose to let my credit score drop, because I did not agree with it. And I refused to pay it. I said, I'm not paying this unless there are some kind of enforceable legal consequences that will be taken. I'm not paying it. I refuse. What debt do you just refuse to pay?
Look at, I get what he's saying, right? Like, sometimes, like, I could be stubborn that way too. Like, say if I feel like I've been done wrong by someone or a company, like I'm stubborn. I'll go to be like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do X, Y, and Z. But when you look at it, it's $140. It's not worth it, right? It's not worth jacking up your credit score, okay, for $140. Like, I'm not sure exactly what the situation it is that he's going through with the insurance company, but if it's getting to a point where they're putting it on your credit report and it's really messing up your credit score, pay the $140. It's really not worth it. And the thing is, like, I even question that, because sometimes, like, to even a lot of these companies, and I used to work in the gym, right? If you let's say you don't pay off your gym membership, or you just stop paying, a lot of these gyms would say, yeah, we're gonna send you the collections, right? Most of the time they're lying, because it costs more to send person to a collection than it is to actually collect the debt that they owe. So I used to work at a gym, and they used to make these threats, knowing that I would know the owner's not gonna actually send it to collections, because it costs more to do that than it is to actually collect the debt. So $140, it probably costs more to just send it to collection than it is to collect that debt. So maybe they are, maybe they're not. But if it is going to hit your credit report, just pay the $140. It's not worth it. It's not. I understand the principle. I understand the anger of not letting the insurance company win, but just pay the $140, because it's not worth your credit score. So, but for a lot of people, they have that mentality, just like, yo, I'm a win. Like, but you're not winning, because your credit score is jacked, but now your future is messed up. You can't buy a home. You're gonna struggle. You're gonna pay higher interest rates on anything that you finance. So just pay the $140. It's only $140. Take the L and just keep it moving. All right. So the next video I'm gonna mute, because it has some music. So I'm just gonna let it play, and then, because she has like these subtitles where she gives her reasons for why you shouldn't pay off debt. So let's go to that next one. Yeah, hold up. Boom. So she has 4 reasons to not pay off debt. Right, and like you said, I'm gonna mute it because there's music in the background. But we're gonna go over. She's gonna give the 4 reasons, and then I'll break down each one. All right. So the first one, you have a vacation, wedding, baby, etc. coming soon. That's her first reason for not paying off debt. Now look it. I get it, right? And like I said, but when it comes to your finances, a lot of it has to do with the choices that you make. And for a lot of people, they rather, instead of wanting to pay off debt, they're gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna enjoy the now, and I'm gonna go on this vacation and wedding rather than having to, pay off any debt. However, long run, if you're a short-term thinker, then yeah, that's the smart thing to do, right? That's the thing that you're going to do. I'm going to enjoy my time. This wedding sounds way much better than actually paying off debt. However, what are you using to pay this wedding, right? Or go on this vacation? You're probably going to use more debt. So all you're doing is making your situation worse. Like, obviously, this is advice I wouldn't recommend to anyone, because all it's going to do is you're just delaying the inevitable, right? Because eventually this debt that you have is going to come to a head, and you're going to be like, yo, okay, what the hell am I doing? I need need to pay this off, and it's just gonna make your life worse. And just not having to deal with stress is a great feeling, right? It's an amazing feeling because you're not stressed out. Like you don't have to take your money and put it somewhere else where give it to someone else that's not helping you make more money. Okay, that's why it's just important to just deal with the situation and focus on fixing it, make it a priority, right? But if you're gonna say vacation and wedding is more of a priority than paying off debt, then obviously these aren't good financial habits. Okay, so let's play the next one. What's her next one that she got? All right, you don't have an emergency fund. All right, stop. Boom, you don't have an emergency fund, right? Now the question is, why don't you have an emergency fund? Probably because you're too busy paying weddings and vacations. Okay, right? Like if having an emergency fund, if you can't muster up just $1,000 in emergency funds, which I think there was a CNBC report that said 50-60% of people don't have if there was $1,000 emergency, they wouldn't be able to cover that. That's just crazy that you cannot come up with $1,000 to cover an emergency. And that's for a lot of people, right? But it's because people prioritize different things. Okay. And if you're prioritizing vacations and weddings, then yeah, it's going to be hard to come up with an emergency fund, but you should be trying to at least focus on that, building something, at least get $1,000 of emergency fund in your account, put that in a high yield savings account where just in case there is an emergency that you can cover it. Okay. Now let's see the next one. All right. She said, all your debt is low, is a low interest, like less than 7%. Now this, I agree and disagree with on this one, in terms of, like my student loan, right? I remember whenever it was like $12,000 and I was paying like $100 a month, right? I wasn't quick to pay that off. I never missed a payment on that. But if you say you have an investment that's going to make you more than whatever the interest rate is on that debt, then it probably makes sense to do that, right? But it depends on that person. Like if you're someone that just like, you know what, I don't want any debt, I just want to get rid of it, then that also makes sense as well. But it really depends on the person. But like my goal is obviously if you're someone, depending on how you manage your money, I'm the type of person just knock off debt. I don't like to have debt that's not making me money. My thing is this: like if the debt doesn't make you money, then don't do it. Right? Don't finance it. Like outside of a home, I don't acquire any debt that's not going to make me money. That's just my mindset that I've acquired over the years since I've been better with my money. If you don't, and it helped me get out of finance, like make sure not to get any financial situation that I can't handle. Right? If you always have the mindset, if it doesn't make you money, do not finance it. You should be good. So obviously, I agree and disagree with this one, depending on what you're doing with your finances and what that debt is. Of course, we know no credit card is less than 7%, so that's clearly not a credit card. More than likely, that's a student loan debt. And if it's less than 7%, then of course, and if it's not that much, it's not destroying your finances too much, then obviously you don't have to focus on that. Focus on credit cards that obviously are in the 20 percentile. And those are the things that you want to focus on. So the fourth one, so you see that your basic needs aren't being met. Now, this is a problem that a lot of people have, like, distinguishing what needs versus wants. Obviously, your needs is making sure you're housing, you got the roof over your head, clothes on your back, food in your belly, right? Food on the table. Make sure your kids are taken care of. Utilities. You want to make sure those things are taken. These are your needs. But however, some people get a mistake in deciding what are needs versus wants, right? You don't need new shoes. You don't need the most expensive purses or clothes. You don't need the most, the nicest car, right? And a lot of people, struggle with this, right? They find things that they need and turn that into a want. Right. So obviously you want to make sure your basic needs are met first, and then everything else is taken secondary. But I think for a lot of people, they struggle with this. So those are the four things. I think there's nothing else. But yeah, I think when it comes to your finances, look at man, it's really about choice. Okay. I think for a lot of people, when it comes to their finances, a big reason why they're struggling so much is because of the choices they make and the habits that they have when it comes to their finances. Of course, we know inflation is tough for a lot of people. And then, of course, medical issues pop up as well. But for a lot of people, it really comes down to the choices that they make when they come to their finances. Like what do you decide to prioritize over the responsibilities that you have, right? Some people say, yeah, like I said, I'm going to go on a vacation. I'm going to go to this wedding rather than paying off this debt, right? That's costing you money every month. Right. For me personally, my mindset is like, all right, how can I make sure I get my finances in order? And I was at that point where, like I said, $30,000 of debt twice in his life. And it got to a point where I said, all right, Ralph, you need to figure this out. and you read a couple of books and you start to develop better habits, and then you say, all right, the first thing I need to do is stop my reckless spending. Okay. And second, all right, increase my income. Find a way to increase my income so I can eventually buy the things that I need and get to a point where I'm not having to use credit debt for everything that I want to buy. So once I got that established in that, I focus on what's coming in and what's going out. Once you organize yourself in that manner, then you understand that, all right, you start to get your finances in order. You never get to a point where you're living above your means. Okay, so it's really a mindset shift and really like developing better habits. And for a lot of people, they struggle with these habits. So, and I guess what gets a lot of people in trouble. So when it comes to your debt, like I recommend pay off your debt, make that a priority, because having no debt is such a great feeling, right? You're just not stressed out. You're not like, even if the economy is going the way it is, you don't feel stressed out because your money is being diverted somewhere else instead of to you, where that's the most important person in your family. And when you don't have to deal with that stress and your finances in order, it just makes it's easier to navigate through, a tough economy. Okay. And for a lot of people, it's because they're struggling, because they're strapped for cash. Like they have so much debt that they don't have enough money to do the things that they want to do. And for a lot of people, that's where the struggle comes from, and the stress. Okay. So those are my thoughts. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Make sure to leave a comment down below, hit the like button and share. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe. All right. So guys, take care. Have a good one. Later.